that had farms. A few weeks ago, I was in St. Patrick's St. Patrick's School, MNA, and I was going through the files, and I found out that one of the reasons why the missionaries got the land and expanse land there was that they said that they're going to build a school and build a farm where the students will farm in order to get enough money to feed themselves. So most of the churches that we have very large expanse of land because the missionaries had intention not just about preaching the good news, but about providing for our people, farming. So the missionaries gave us the impetus to go into self-reliance by building schools for us and by helping us also to build. Most of our station churches, most of our old churches were built by our locals. They gathered the materials, the missionaries brought some money for their place, and then they built up these stations and these parishes. Today, the building of churches is left in our hands. Just a few parishes are now waiting for the bishop to ask for funds from overseas, which are not easily coming. But most parishes now can stand on their own and build their churches. Evaluating the journey so far in African churches towards self-reliance. Local churches in Africa have become self-governing with significant increase in bishops, priests, and faithful, particularly in Nigeria. In Nigeria, we have now more than 35 million Catholics. Many dioceses, however, still depends on the dicastery for evangelization of peoples, and then from other agencies, on other agencies to receive money. We have concerns about, some of them no longer support the churches here because they have concerns about accountability. There's heavy reliance on donations from our local churches. So when we talk about self-reliance, we're not talking about just relying on international aids, but also rely heavily on the contributions of our people. Sometimes these people that contribute this, they have no regular jobs. They're out of jobs, or they are poor farmers and others. So what can we do to build up institutions that can actually raise up some funds for us that can make the church to be self-reliant, self-propagating, self-maintaining, and others, so that the churches here can maintain and pay their own staff. So this is the case we're putting before us. Sub-Saharan Africa has seen significant growth in the past century, highlighted by rapid increase in dioceses, in parishes, and faithful people. Many popes, especially Pope Benedict, refer to Africa as the spiritual lungs of humanity. When you travel around, you see that the church in Africa is the hope of the church, of the world church. Therefore, we cannot continue on this dangerous comfort zone of depending on people who are no longer coming to church. The Cardinal has said it. In some churches in Asia and America, America and Europe, you see empty churches. And it is only the old women and men who can no longer go to church that contribute some little pennies, a little dollar or euro. Most youths in Europe and America no longer go to church, and they cannot contribute anything to you. So how do you depend on such people? So these things are dwindling. Therefore, we must have to rise up to this challenge. What we can do to be self-propagating, self-helping. So this is why we must have to change this narrative. One of us, San Chilo, spoke of three realities of survival in Nigeria: suffering and smiling, suffering and struggling, suffering and believing. So I want to talk about the last one, suffering and believing. Some of us don't have money. We believe tomorrow God will make it better. If you go to some of the Pentecostal churches, they're going to tell you, God is going to make you a millionaire. This year you're going to be a millionaire in Jesus' name. And people rise up. This person who is going to become a millionaire has no job. He has no place to look for money. So how does he become a millionaire? We must have to make some plans for ourselves. The situation challenges the church to address economic suffering of the church, to address social justice and good governance. So this is our challenge. There's some negative implication of depending on donations for survival. Some of these include the risk of commercializing the gospel. If we depend on contributions of the people, you see what happens on churches and the churches on Sundays. Some priests will come and become so oppressive on the people. They will continue to say, if you don't come out to donate, God will make sure that your money doesn't flow again. Your purse will be dry. I see some of them will become so oppressive on the people. And it makes the gospel to become commercialized. So that's why we cannot depend solely on the donations of the people. The danger of Pentecostalism and the distortion of the church message, instead of preaching the gospel, instead of relying on catechesis, which is the topic we have been treating since yesterday, people are not having enough time to preach about money. That's why the church service or the mass lasts for about 3 hours. And 2 hours will be spent, or 2.5 hours will be spent on donations, how to get money. First collection, second collection, third collection, and all that. So the last advantage is vulnerability to unstable economy and limited capacity for emergency response. That means if there is a case of emergency, that our church collapses, what do? We cannot fall back on anything. But if we have a plan, some places in Europe, they have very strong financial background. I won't mention the archdiocese in Europe, but this diocese made contribution in building the national rail lines. They have about 10% contribution in it, so that anytime you are traveling in Central Europe with ICE, if you paid 100 euro, 10 euro goes to a particular diocese in Europe. That means they have a careful plan to elevate their church. They're no longer depending on the collections of the people. Of course, people still contribute and make collections, but they have had a long plan of sustainability. The Diocese of Enugu is our response to the challenge of self-reliance. The diocese has a lot of projects. Monsignor Biorike here, we can proudly say that this man has helped the Catholic Diocese of Enugu to stabilize economically. More than 50 or 60% of the projects we have in the diocese were initiated by him. There are some other very responsible, selfless priests of our diocese who have made a lot of contributions in pushing the diocese forward. You can see what in education we are doing. The Go University with all its collaborations in agriculture and many other areas. You can see Sija Farm, Umuchineme Bank, and all that. All these things are the efforts that the diocese have made in self-reliance. There are a number of projects that the diocese has established in the past 20 years. For instance, the Mirindo Project, Trinity Water, Trinity Oil, Domo Sati Spiritus Guest House, Block Industry, Furniture Homes, Technology, the married technology concept, the acid printing press, the flame, and all that. Monsignor Biorike started the Bishop's Farm in Uguomo that has now transmuted into a university. And it was this that actually challenged us to begin to do something about something in agriculture. So I want to talk about what we are doing in agriculture in Mary Agro Farms. When I became a bishop, before then I was in the seminary, and we were able to change the narratives in the seminary so that the expenses we made in the seminary, about 40 or 45% of it were raised internally by the seminary. And this were done through agriculture, cultivation. And then the bishop became very happy. And when I became the auxiliary, he asked me whether I could transform this thing that I did in the seminary into a diocesan level. That was when we now talked about Mary Agro Farms. Mary Agro Farms, it has a mission statement to give them something to eat yourselves. We believe that Nigeria is so blessed that there is no reason why any Nigerian should go in without food in his stomach. We have arable land. We have the population of young people energetic to work. We have also money. We only needed ideas. Yesterday, Cardinal Bareke was talking about the initiative they're making in agriculture. You see that the problem we have is selfishness. If all our priests would agree to make their youths to go into agriculture, for instance, making use of the farmland in the parishes, you see that there'll be a lot of reduction in poverty. There'll be employment opportunities for the youths and all that. But now, you see, there are many priests in our diocese who are going also into agriculture, inspired by what we are doing. But most of them are not as selfless as they should be. The older generation of priests here in the diocese have been very selfless. That's why they establish companies or things, institutions that could employ people, not in their own name. If you are beginning any venture, which bishop of the diocese is not a sole signatory of that place, then that means that is your own project. Mary Agro Farm is a diocesan farm. It's a project that is tended towards the youths and young people. First of all, it has 4 areas, 4 value chains. 1, education. Every year, we train 20 students or 20 young people in sustainable agriculture, in modern art of farming. And then after that, the diocese empowers each one of them with 500,000 naira to begin a self-reliant project. Not only that, we follow them up and then make sure that they are investing the money. This year, we are going to train 50 instead of 20. We trained the first 20, the last 6 months. The second ones have begun. We are still looking for about 20 students. The problem we have is that many people are looking for money and not opportunity to help themselves. So people will come, and when you introduce them to what you want them to do, they withdraw. Some of them will say, my Lord, I thought you said we should come and collect 500,000 naira. I say, if you are giving 500,000 naira, what are you going to do with it? The problem is, if you are not able to calm down and learn, you will not be able to invest. If you have 3 students, one who has connection, the other one who has money, another one who has knowledge of what to do with money, the only person that can succeed among them is one with knowledge, because knowledge is power. So the first value we have is education. That's why in Mary Agro Farm, the one we have in Enugu, we have a classroom where we train students for 6 months and drill them in modern art of farming. We have collaboration with the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, with ESUT, with Go University. When they finish, they have a certificate from Go University that can help them to get employment. And then, after the 6 months of training, most of them confess. Now, what they learned here within 6 months, was always more than what they learned in 4 years in the university, because you can now see a lunch between theory and practice. They go to class for about 3 hours, go for practical for about 2 hours every day. And that place, we have a hostel where they stay. Our sponsors help us to give them food. They are fed free. They stay in the place free, and they are taught free. And after that, they are given 500,000 naira to begin something on their own. So that is a value system that is very, very important for our youths. As I said, we still have about 30 opportunities between now and the next 2 weeks. If you have somebody who can recommend to us, you can do that. Then, we have a production as another value chain. We have a piggery, poultry, fishery, and crop production. More than 300 pigs in the place and all that. And then you learn how to tend these animals, to tend these plants. You learn the diseases that they encounter them, and how to make use of natural things to cure them. There are some plants you place close to another plant, and they stop disease from entering the other plants. This is what knowledge can teach you. So this second option of production, when you go through that, you see that you learn a lot. How to begin. You can make your plan, your economic plan, on how to invest your 500,000 naira and then become rich. One young lady received 500,000 naira and got just about 3 plots of land in her home. And after 6 months, she came back to us and said she was getting 120,000 naira every week from the ose, pepper, from the cucumber, and then from tomatoes that she made. That means if somebody is getting 220,000 naira every week, multiplied by 4, almost 500,000 naira. And I was asking her, won't you go for employment again? I said, what type of employment? What employment is bigger than what I'm getting? So self-reliance means the ability to know where you are and know where you are going, how to set yourself free. Now, after production, we have processing. The processing section is very important because in Nigeria, you see that we have a lot of things, crude oil, we have mineral resources, but we don't have people who process them. We just sell them in bulk to Europe. They process it and bring it back to us. In Media Agro Farm, you learn how to process. We've established an oil mill, oil palm mill, rice mill, cassava processing mill, and feed mill. And all these are meant to help our youth, to train them, to engage them so that they can be productive for themselves and for their families. Most of the people who pass through the system, after they have finished, they wouldn't want to be employed anywhere. Our projection is that the parishes should key in. If a parish should establish a farm and make 1 or 2 or 3 youths in charge of these farms, at a point, they'll be able to get money to pay the catechists and to pay other workers. But the problem is that the priest will always want to establish something for himself. If he gets money, establish something, and where he's going, supposing he has piggery farm, where he's going, he sells off all the pigs and puts the money in the pocket. Another priest comes in and has nothing to begin with. So when we begin to be selfless, look at some of our elderly priests who have done all these things. They didn't establish it on their own. They established it for the diocese, and this is our running. The university we have got from Okoye University. Somebody could go somewhere and establish a private university as a priest, and it will be running. I can tell you that there are some priests in this diocese who are richer than the diocese 10 times. And Bishop is here suffering. If people learn how to be selfless and then do every establishment in the name of the diocese, no diocese will compete with any diocese, not just in Africa, but in the world. We have people who have the power, who have the connection, but we have less people who are selfless. And that's what we are begging for, that people should come together. the cardinal was talking about collaboration between mission schools, between schools. We're talking of a collaboration between all the establishments in the diocese. First of all, going to the drawing board to make sure that the bishop is the underlying person who is in charge of everything we have. Because tomorrow, if you are not there, all the sweat you have got goes that way. And some other people will reap the fruit, and not the church. But the church has spent a lot of money training you and supporting you. So when we talk about self-reliance, we're talking about people should have hearts to love the church. To love the church. And to do everything for the love of the church so that we can progress. Many dioceses in Europe have projects that can sustain them. As I'm talking with you now, there are many dioceses that have more than 60 or 80 foreign priests working for them, and they are paying them. How do they do these payments, these salaries? They are able to pay because their dioceses have established some ventures in the past, and these ventures are helping them to sustain them. Some of them, the next 500 years, they have no problem. They can exist. But in our own system here, if we cannot, the next 5 years, we don't have some sustenance from Rome and from other places, we fall. So let us begin to think about a church that is standing on its own, a church that is self-sustaining, a church that is self-propagating. That is the meaning of self-reliance. Thank you very much.
My dear brothers and sisters, Your Excellencies, for want of time, and also that the presenter was very clear and practical, we're not going to waste time on repeating what he said. We only know he talked about man being body and soul to be sustained. And meanwhile, our church locally here has been sustained externally. And the external sustenance is diminishing. What do we do? That's the question. And the bishop has answered these questions. So I invite Brother Victor to see if one or two people have something to add.
I think anyone who have any question, please write them down. We will submit these questions to the Secretariat. If need be, the bishop is with us all through this moment. When he looks at the questions, he could deliver some answers within the period so that we get into something else immediately. So having said that, let's give another applause to our presenter and the chairman. Very quickly, before I call the next person, I would like to remind us of a very few important things. There are students here. We recognize your presence. Please make sure you register your name. There are sheets going around for CIC, for HRC. Write your name in those sheets and return them to the Secretariat. Same with everybody here. There are designations for everyone. We have sheets for delegates, for official participants, for priests of the diocese, for heads of diocesan schools and principals, and then general attendance. So find the one that is designating your position and then write your name and make sure that you fill the attendance. If there are other schools here present, I believe there are, put your name in the other form, and that form might read other schools. So look around and let your principals and teachers find these forms and make them available to the students. All right, we are now going to quickly begin the third lecture of the day, and it's titled Reinvigorating the Social Welfare Scheme in our local church. It will be taken by Very Reverend Monsignor Obiora Ike and Reverend Father Donatus Onibu will be the chair. But to dispense with a lot of protocols, I will ask Monsignor to immediately attack his paper within the shortest period of time. Thank you, Monsignor. Microphone. Okay, use. Okay. Thank you.
Your Eminence, my Lord Bishops, my brothers, the priesthood, my brothers and sisters in Christ. It is a tremendous privilege all of us have to be witnesses to a diocesan synod as we are having it for the 4th time here. Having listened to the speech before mine, which has to deal with self-reliance, I do think that Bishop Obodo spiritually wrote his paper and cloned my own. His thought and speech and ideas resonate with what I had put down, so I'm not going to waste so much time repeating those things. But one sentence stands out. Our gift in Enugu Diocese is this land with its people, blessed by God. We are the gift. The challenge is making the gift to be real. And that's why we are holding this synod under the topic of faith and practice. I would like to give a background from the perspectives of the Catholic social teaching where His Lordship the Bishop in his sermon yesterday addressed. Pope John the 23rd in Mater et Magistra writes, "It is not enough merely to formulate a social doctrine. It must be translated into reality, faith and practice." And this is particularly true of the Catholic Church's social doctrine, the light of which is truth, justice, its objective, and life, its driving force. The long tradition of this social teaching has always advocated the empowerment of poor people, of marginalized people, a theology completely consistent with the gospel. For by empowering the less privileged to become equal and responsible citizens, we achieve the will of God. No genuine authority can be based upon the powerlessness of those who are subject to it. What we see around is that when there are big people, you are a big man because you oppress the others to be small people. In fact, political and economic situations challenge poor people to effect changes in their own lives by engaging the oppressive structures and social situations that have kept them dependent. God helps those who help themselves. And our Igbo language say, Onyekwe, Chiekwe. There comes a time when people can and must say no to subjugation as an attempt to recreate their destinies, wasted by an elite that denied them their rights and suppressed them. The Exodus phenomenon in the Bible is the historical presence and action of God alongside the marginalized, a paradigmatic approach that captures the present situation and mood of the Nigerian people. The universal quest, therefore, by man, created in the image and likeness of God, for a better world founded on the biblical injunction to subdue the earth and fill the earth, living in full equality, in full dignity, with integrity, prompted this reflection on the linkage of church and self-reliance, of a self-sustaining church. Due to the lack of knowledge by people, including Christians, of the profound teachings in the Catholic social teaching, we see that we need to know more in order to do more. Permit me to look at some areas in Enugu Diocese where I think we can reinvigorate social welfare schemes. Number one, health insurance schemes. When you are sick, you dip hand in your pocket, you pay. If you don't have money, you show where you will be buried. Or you beg. Is it possible for a church, it happened elsewhere, promoted by other churches, to think out a long-term, self-sustaining health insurance scheme? Because health is ndo, is life. Because we have said that many of our priests, our clergy, our religious, our people are ingenious, think about doing some thought around it. Not for the bishop, not for the courier. Can you think out, if Bishop Obodo will say that we have masterpiece manners of making money, can we think about a health insurance scheme? It's not reserved for anybody. Number two, establishment of care for elderly people in centers and homes. A medical doctor just told me last week he has converted his house in Emene to be a place for old people. So there will be 6 or 10 of them. The children are all living in the USA and elsewhere. And there are many mamas and papas who spend their time looking through the windows every morning or to know whether somebody is coming to visit them. They cannot even go to a hospital, and if they must go, it is so difficult because of the climb the stairs downstairs, whether we can even do old people's care in their own homes. There were 53 religious organizations at the Mass, in our diocese, so they can think it through. Not just old people's home for their own members, but also for others, because the society is gradually reaching there. The young are moving out, the old are in the homes. Number 3, revolving micro-housing schemes for small credits. Someone must explain to me why we see houses and estates rising everywhere, but we are the people paying to go and live in such houses. We tried to do one. We started a micro-housing scheme many years ago, 50 bungalows for 50 families who should pay, and from the rents, we will revolve and buy more land and build elsewhere. That's what Monsignor Steigenberger did in Germany. We learned it from him. We wanted to do it here. Then our people packed into the homes and said, people were paying 5,000 naira for three rooms in a month. When we increased it to 10,000 naira, they carried a delegation to the bishop. Then Bishop Bujan said, Monsignor adukwa wicked. Now they're paying not even up to 20,000 naira a month in Enugu, in a very nice place. And we have to think about that. So even a rethink. But micro-housing schemes are things the church can do. Let's start thinking seriously about it. Another one, I did A to Z. When my time is up, I will stop. Revolving medium loan credit schemes. Medium loans. There are small loans, there are medium loans, there are micro loans. People need money. They go to Isusu or to market in Obete, they go and loan money and pay 80%, 70%. We have a bank that charges 2% per month. The thing is also about the mentality of take and repay, not take and change address from Uboge to Umana and Diago. Another one where I think we must reinvigorate our social welfare schemes is in vocational skills acquisition. All of you know that our bishop has supported the diocese in Olwa Kadema. As a director in SIDJAP, he was directly supervising that center. They have trained 1,100 young people in the last few years. None of them is unemployed. But this is just one. Can we not do much more of these centers? Everybody talks, the government of Enugu State, experiential learning and so on, no machine, no teacher, how you are going to do that. But we have managed in our context to have a sustaining institution. The best mechanic that was canonized the saint yesterday during the sermon, he is the teacher of the automobile industry there. The best carpenter that was mentioned, he has been given a place to come and train young people so that they can learn. The bishops of Abuja, of Kaduna, of Kavanchan, of Jalingo, of Taraba are sending, of Sokoto, sending their young people to Enugu to learn skills. They learn it, they go back. Those who go to universities learn how to programmer. Those who are electricians earn money. Self-reliance. Another one is agricultural schemes. We don't need to say more about it. But yesterday, I was humbled to listen to Cardinal Obaleke, who took us far, the kinds of things they are doing in Ekulobia Diocese. Whether it is on the so-called annual competition for young people. And I'm thinking in agriculture, every parish CYMO, CYWO should have a parish agricultural scheme. And they should be competing in this. We already have models in Godfrey Okoye University, in Just Some Peace Farms, in Megre Agro Farms, other farms. Let us think seriously. A Reverend Father comes to a parish, starts a piggery, great. Make also that the young Catholic organizations can do something like that. Now, let us talk about old age pension schemes. Old age, you have spent all your life working, but when you are old, you just die with disgrace. There's something they call aging with grace. Some people don't age with grace. It is possible for a diocese to make it an agenda that old age pension, and it's not for a diocese or the bishop to pay everybody, but all these institutions of sisters, of priests, of brothers, of laity, even the reverend fathers, under Father Ibaja, we had the Apostolic Union of the Clergy. We were even contributing money for Ugudinso weekly pepper soup and the palm wine. Olukwe weekend, I guy total. But we can do it now, not on ED pepper soup and the ending cause, but to do it in terms of reserving funds for ourselves. You know, many people plan for themselves only, even though the diocese should normally take care of you. But we must now support that plan for the diocese with doing that which is right in our own opus securitatis, where we say pay 2,000 naira a month and 50% have not paid. Monsignor Giwa and myself and the others, Monsignor Nigelo, we have been formed into a committee, and 50% starting with the young. And if you pay 2,000 or 3,000 a year, within 10 years you have accumulated 1 million plus, which is your own contribution to your own self. So when someone is sick, Bishop has to put that person in an aeroplane, sent to India with ego in alcohol. Ego ndozo okoro. Okwanjod dembar. Let us talk about Caritas desk in every parish. That's already happening, I think. But these charity groups like St. Vincent de Paul can be deepened. You know, when we are pastors in parishes, we don't take them too serious. We say, my announcement, you know. But this is something that can be entrenched as a way of life for a people who are really thinking seriously of a self-sustaining church. What does it mean when we say, love your neighbor? Father John Madubuko preached a very beautiful sermon this morning to us during the test, and I listened about his sermon on love, very convincing, very compelling. And that is where our challenge is. Now, let us talk about motherless babies' homes, which we have, but which we can increase in terms of the quality of what we give them. It surprises me that our motherless babies' homes are even now feeding us, the seminaries, the convents, and they're giving us food, giving us things, giving us drinks. Motherless babies, because sometimes they receive too much and then they share what they have. The children are feeding our seminaries. Now, street children food baskets. That's another one. Street children food baskets. We went to Mass yesterday. I celebrated 8 a.m. Mass at Holy Trinity with Monsignor Agiwo. When the Mass ended, I came out of the church. The whole street was filled with kuturu, lepers, beggars, street children, carrying efere and looking for something. So these are areas where, thank you very much, these are areas where I feel we have a lot of work to do. Now, mobile eye clinic centers. Mobile. We have eye clinic, but we can do self-sustaining, helping people, especially the poor. Celebrated mass sometime at Sacred Heart. An old man came to me, Father Biko, warm holy water nanya. Why? And you know what is in holy water is also salt. Holy water Ave Maria, he went there, got a cataract, got an operation, got healed. Praise. But another priest, not in the Catholic, ndị a ide kwu maka ha wee ike wụkwasị ya mmiri holy water wụkwasịkwa ihe ndị ọzọ n'anya si ya na nọ njọ nne a metere bụ ihe jie. Are you with us? Widows and widowers support. This is a dimension of aid that can be structured. I don't want to comment more on that, but I want to speak about another group. Our young women, 40 years and above, professionals, bankers, directors, no husband. The cardinal in Abuja, when he was Archbishop of Abuja, started Association of St. Monica. All these women who are professionals but no husband, they end up becoming the wife of a Muslim or some. They need apostolate to have hangers on. They end up becoming polygamous number 2 and number 3, or wives that are not seen but are available. I need equal apostolate for them. Because they have made money, made name, made. After working in the bank in the night, another one is Catholic laity empowerment and charity schemes. Catholic laity. Think about the Catholic laity. You have a lot of work to do at all your levels. Then I can talk about women and men religious associations like in Enugu Diocese coming out with their particular charisms to complement this work we are talking about. Now, refugees and displaced people has increased. In Nigeria, we have 4 million internally displaced persons. When they come back in our southern part, they don't stay in refugee camps. They get immediately into family. But who helps the family of a refugee that has returned? Then we can talk about homeless people care. I went to Nigerian Railway, the old Nigerian Railway. In the night, at least 2,000 to 3,000 people sleep there. They sleep in their barrow, and in the morning they jump on the barrow and start moving around again. That is why you see the aggression on the road. Because they have nothing again to lose. Who is lying on ground has nothing again to lose. I must mention one more: ambulance services for sick people in rural and urban areas. And with that, ambulance services. These ambulance services are important because when you are sick, you need support. I want to thank all of you for thinking outside of the box, and to thank our diocese that we reached a stage where we discovered that a self-sustaining church is the name of the game which we must be doing. But our biggest challenge are people who do not want to work, who do not see the cross as a way of life, who in every challenge will want to fly into dibia, called hocus pocus. And this film they call Africa Magic has contributed a lot but done so much damage to the psyche of our people. Because the center of these films, especially watched by religious personnel, especially watched by them, is the entire thing of hee-ha, miracles are now work. The normal things you will do with sound reason and common sense depends on miracles. So we have to move away from miracle centers. We have to think seriously about that, because miracle is happening in everybody's life for every single breath. For every day you sleep, Jesus calls death sleep. But we are dying every day by sleeping, and we wake up, and we don't call that miracle. Mana nke chọrọ achọrọ m ka m rụọ nke a na high sea, ka m wee go ne day to before this time, ka m mee nke ọzọ, ka m mee. So we continue to forget the miracles that happen in our life and then land in fake. Ndị nna anyị ochie ha prayed, handed over their children from baptism that they will continue. Ndị kita na chieze ebe nna ha ochie ha nọ, and got even far behind. But that was the new internet 419, which they call Yahoo, because that's eventually all that we see in this, not only Pentecostalism, but also all these religious practices. I did not read my paper. You will get it in the morning. It will be distributed for all those who are delegates. I spoke to you. May God bless you.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause. This is wonderful. This is great. This is exciting. This is exhilarating. Thank you, Monsignor, for this. We are waiting to have the governor of Enugu State. His time is 11:15. So we still have a few minutes to say something by way of questions and clarifications, and Monsignor will give an answer. I know that there should be time for break here, but we are not going to go to break. Maybe after the governor must have had his session, then we can stretch ourselves. Now, one or two questions could be called upon right now for the Monsignor to give an answer. Anybody from the back? I see Father Emeka here, but let me see if there is a layperson from the back who would like to say something. I see a hand very much at the back. If he looks like a priest with his white soutane, but it could be somebody on his white kaftan.
Children, Jesus. I thank Monsignor for his teaching and also the bishop. But I would like to ask this question. We have been promoting agriculture. Even the last time we had this synod in 2013, the same issue of promotion of agriculture. The question is, why is it that all the investment made in agriculture, since then, we could not be self-sufficient in feeding ourselves? And I want to suggest two things. Most of the times when we talk of agriculture, we're only concerned on training people how to plant and harvest. And we fail to think of how can we design those machines, the tractor we import, the fertilizer. When British was here, they extracted our coal, they export it for coal destructive distillation.
All right.
Ammonical liquor was used for coal fertility. Why are we not talking on how to develop these technologies and agricultural input so we can have sustainable agricultural production? Authorization.
Thank you very much. Father Emeka here, please come up here very quickly. You can shout. Monsignor will hear you until the microphone comes.
The prelates who spoke earlier have all commented on the need for collaboration with the government. The church alone cannot arrive at the self-reliance which we are seeking. I think that's what we are saying. Rome, the church in Rome is built with what they call auto per mille. €8 comes from every 1,000 you earn. Directly, the state takes it. Just like you have made a personal statement. The money is taken by the state. The church also in Germany is also sustained by Kirchenteuer. And the bishop, when he was speaking, also mentioned the collaboration of the states. He mentioned one diocese that has also a large share with the railway lines. So someone has already mentioned that agriculture, we've tried to go into agriculture, is not enough to sustain us. So before the governor comes, we need to have plans of areas we want to collaborate with the governor, where we want to partner with him. In education, for example, we have schools we are managing, and we cannot pay the lecturers well or the teachers without the government sustaining. So we need to marshal out areas of health, areas of education, and other areas, even agriculture. If the road leading to where the bishop has his farm at Obinofia is not tarred, nobody can go there to farm. So we need these things, this collaboration, and we need ways to find them out. Maybe that's another way of doing what you said, Monsignor, of ending what you call, we have to say no to oppression. And without saying that no, we cannot become self-reliant. Thank you.
Well, many comments can be made, and none is the final. But one thing we know in Nigeria is that we don't even have governments. We do not have governments. Also, we did not vote them. People don't even go to vote. Some of you don't have voters' cards. So that's point one. The government that exist are like new deities operating at their own level. There might be good luck in one state or another. Archbishop Kaigama will be here tomorrow. He told us what's happening in Abuja, where he has never seen since he became a bishop, the governor of that state. Whoever is it, he has never seen him with two eyes. He came to Enugu State for 4 days, and he met our governor on 3 occasions in church events. Are we together? So collaboration with government, yes, but which government? So it is a problem, and we have to start looking at why the churches must be strongly involved in the social order, including calling governments to account. People cannot tell us that they are spending money on electricity and the electricity bill is rising and we're not seeing electricity. They move from NEPA to another one, and the more we pay, the less electricity we see. So we need to hold government to account at many levels: diplomatic level, private discussions, public discussions, and then of course prophetic engagement. And the governments know that without us they are not, because government is people. But the last one concerning the gentleman who spoke about so cooperation, yes, but then it must be a multilateral activity. The gentleman who spoke about agriculture, whether it was paying, agriculture is not doing what it should be doing. We are buying all the food produced in China. I was in Beijing to see where they produce all the things they send to you here. I refuse to eat in a Chinese restaurant in Beijing, in China, because I saw frogs and lizards and rats in what they call Chinese food. But that is what they send to you here to eat. Well spiced, Indomie cartons, and your children enjoy it. Not to forget the chemical toxicity of these things that we are buying food produced by others. So when Samuel Lapitobi says move from consumption to production, it was said earlier, it is a topic that we must take seriously. And self-help is always best. The Catholic Church is an imperium in imperio, a kingdom within a kingdom. We don't depend on the state. The church is above the state. The state is the servant of social order, but the state is serving God. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but give to God what is God's, and what is God is Mr. Caesar. Do you understand? And the church must assume that superlative role to become the moment of transcendence. We cannot come and become people who lick the ass of people in government. We must show them the way, because they are our children. Without us, they are not. So collaboration, agriculture, doing the things we should be doing, these are the engagements that are necessary. I want to think that I should end here so that the MC can make more announcements. But the synod is continuing for the next 3 days, 4 days. And there are workshops.
A very big applause for this moment. We are going to end this session, but not before the chairman gives us a concluding remark. Then we can end. Chairman of the session, Very Reverend Father Donatus Onibo, your concluding remarks.
Thank you very much. All protocols, please observe, because the MC told me I have only half a minute. So, but I want to congratulate Monsignor Obiorike, who is generally called a phenomenon because of his power of speech. When he speaks, you don't have any loophole you have to add or remove. So, however, I want to bring some few points out. He mentioned a lot of things about health insurance, social security insurance, and all this. So,
all right. Can we all please stand for the #1 citizen of Enugu State, Governor Barrister Peter Mba. We welcome Your Excellency. The national anthem will play now. Please be seated. We thank the Governor of Enugu State for eking out some valuable time for the Diocese of Enugu on this 4th Synod, despite his busy schedule. The Governor will spend some time with us, but he has a flight to catch this afternoon. So we'll try to be as snappy as possible. I will hand over the microphone to the bishop. Okay, the bishop has asked me to hand over the microphone straight to the governor or to the chairman of the Synod Preparatory Committee.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, Barrister Dr. Peter Mba, I welcome you on behalf of the Bishop, the Courier, the members of the Synod Preparatory Committee, on behalf of my brother priest here, on behalf of all organs of our diocese, and on behalf of all school children here, I welcome you warmly to this Synod of our diocese, the 4th Synod of our diocese. It is on record that of all dioceses in Nigeria, that we are #1 in synods. This is the 4th one. So if you're looking for the strong points of a diocese in your state, you can comfortably say it is, in terms of synod, in terms of dialogue, in terms of collaboration, in terms of progress, it is #1 in Nigeria. And we are glad to have in our midst His Eminence. He has given a paper today, John Cardinal Naiko. He has given a paper. Yesterday, Cardinal Opaleke was here and gave a paper, and a whole lot of other dignitaries will be here. We welcome you. We know your schedule is very tight. But today also we have the Archbishop Obina all the way from Owerri. who will be talking about something you might be interested in, Osu and Ohu, because you need to have some legal framework about this social illness in our society. We may look to, until we go to have his paper. I'm sure he has his paper for you. Who would have wished that you listen to his paper, but time, I know it's tight, but we'll certainly ask you one or two questions today and give you his paper. The Auxiliary Bishop of Enugu, Most Reverend Dr. Ernest and Ezichukwu Bodo, has just given a paper on self-reliance, working hard, collaborating with the state, and all that. UD is a testimony of what our diocese is doing to create awareness for self-reliance and the employment of young people. On behalf of all of us here, I welcome you warmly, Your Excellency, to the Synod.
Thank you so much. His Eminence Cardinal John Onayiko, thank you and welcome to Enugu State. The chief host of the 4th Enugu Diocesan Synod and the Bishop of Enugu Diocese, His Lordship, Most Reverend CVC Onaga, the Archbishop Emeritus of Owerri Ecclesiastical Province, His Grace, Most Reverend Anthony Obinna, the Auxiliary Bishop of Enugu Diocese, His Lordship, Most Reverend Ernest Obodo, Monsignori here present, very reverend fathers and members of consecrated life here present, the host local government chairman, the Enugu North chairman, Dr. Ibenaku Ono, royal fathers here with us, top government functionaries here with us today, official delegates of the 4th Synod, students here with us, brothers and sisters in Christ, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. May the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Let me begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to His Lordship, the Bishop, and to the Synod Preparatory Committee for inviting me to speak at this historic 4th Enugu Diocesan Synod. I begin not as a governor speaking to leaders of the church, but as a son of this faith, one raised in Catholic discipline, shaped by the compassion and sense of service that the Catholic Church instilled in me. Those lessons guide me still. They taught me that leadership is not about power, but stewardship. That service to humanity is service to God. You, the church, form character. We in government
build the systems that allow that character to flourish. Our missions are aligned, faith and governance working hand in hand to build a just and compassionate society. The church has always been the moral conscience of society, and a synod is a sacred moment of listening, reflection, and renewal. So I consider it a blessed privilege to join you as we reflect on the theme, promoting a productive economy in Enugu State. 2.5 years into my administration, this moment calls for honest reflection. Have we honored the trust you placed on us? Have we served faithfully and well? From the start, through the Citizens' Charter, I pledged transparency, measurable progress, and accountability before you, our people, and before God. It's also no different from when I laid out my blueprint for Enugu State at the Godfrey Okoye University. So what we're doing here is not mere tokenism. There is no knee-jerk in our actions. Today, I share what we met, what we have built, and where we are headed. And I hope we can unite in partnership around a shared vision of the life and soul of Ndi Enugu. The theme of this discussion, and I prefer to call it discussion because I understand there will be an intervention, implicitly reflects a conviction that we shared on our session to office, developing Enugu State into a productive economy is not a choice, but an imperative. That was the reason we outlined from the outset some economic goals that many must have considered too ambitious at the time to grow our GDP from $4.4 billion to $30 billion. Make Enugu one of Nigeria's top 3 economies and achieve a 0% rate on our poverty headcount index. 30 months down the line, the question may be asked, how close are we to attaining those goals? We can glean the answer in the development statistics released recently, which indicates that Enugu ranks among top-tier states in economic terms. Again, the question may be asked, has this brunt of this growth been borne by the people? By no means. In the last 2.5 years, we have grown our internally generated revenue by over 450%. For context, when we assumed office, our IGR was about 30 billion. Last year, we recorded an IGR rate of 188 billion. That was what we closed last year. This year, we're most likely going to exceed those figures. Thank you. We have done so mostly by plugging leakages, reviving moribund assets, and deploying them to productive use in ways that benefit the entire state. Faith and development are two sides of one mission. The church teaches us that faith does not operate in isolation from social realities. As the late Pope Francis reminds us, no one is saved alone, and no one develops alone. Our mission as leaders, whether in government or in the church, is to build a society where the dignity of every person is upheld and where opportunities are not privileges for a few, but pathways for all. When our administration began in May 2023, the challenges in Enugu State were real. An economy largely dependent on federal allocation, beset with low productivity and weak private sector participation, decaying infrastructure, acute water scarcity, unemployment among our youths, insecurity driven by non-state actors, and a healthcare system struggling with outdated facilities. But it wasn't so much because of a failure of ideas as with the system to which we had grown accustomed. It stemmed largely from the monolithic economy we were beset with. Such system had served us the much it could. However, we needed a new system that would give us the capacity to leapfrog our development, to enable us to achieve an exponential growth, a quantum leap. By the grace of God, guided by the values of service and stewardship, and inspired by the resilience of our people, we made a covenant to rebuild Enugu into a productive, modern, and competitive state. Today, with gratitude, I can say that the story has changed. An economy cannot be productive when people live in fear. From day one, we tackled the issue of illegal sit-at-home and restored normalcy to business and social life. Peace is the first fruit of development. Today, Mondays are fully active in Enugu. What's today? Monday, and we're all here. Investors are returning. Our streets are safer, and economic activities have rebounded. We have deployed technology through our command and control center enhanced by AI-embedded cameras that give us round-the-clock surveillance of our streets and neighborhoods. Through this, we now have the capacity to nip crime in the bud and to respond swiftly when one occurs. This is critical, given our push to make Enugu a premier destination. Our intervention in the security space has led to over 80% reduction in violent crime. We realized quite early that making Enugu's economy productive would require the private sector's participation. For so long, the term enabling environment has been used so often that it sounds like mere platitude. But enabling environment is not an abstraction. It is critical to the push to attract private capital. We have built structures that enhance both an enabling environment and productivity. By the way, from the onset, our objective has always been to have a public sector enabled and a private sector driven economy. But when we came into office, we realized that just having a public sector enabled environment was largely enough. So what we have done is to have both public and private sector driven economy. It's enabled by public sector, quite all right, but we don't just wait for private sector to drive it. We also have our skin in the game. So where the numbers do not make sense for the private sector, we help them de-risk the aspect of the investment that would make it attractive for them to come and invest. And where, for example, there is no historical to support the investment, so you cannot validate the numbers, we step in, we take the lead role and say, look, come, we know that this market may not have existed, but we're going to create this new market. And so our model has been adjusted somewhat. Public sector enabled, private and public sector driven. From our roads to bus terminals and CNG buses, International Conference Center to our tourist sites and Enugu Air, each one has a necessary correlation to the other, all conceived as growth enablers. So effectively, they are mutually reinforcing. So none of these activities we have done exist in isolation. They are driven by core fundamentals designed to achieve the overall objective of growing the economy and getting our people out, lifting them out of the pit of poverty. Just a few meters from here existed what was once a byword for chaos. I'm referring to the roundabout intersections just down the road. We cannot build a productive economy where several man-hours are lost to traffic gridlock on a daily basis. That's because transportation is the lifeblood of commerce. 5 ultra-modern transport terminals, orderly, efficient, and built for the future. We introduced CNG buses, and digital ticketing to cut costs and restore dignity to daily travel. And with Enugu Air taking flight in mid-2025, our state is now connected to wider markets and new opportunities. Thank you. We have also fostered an industrial rebirth. State-owned companies that lay moribund for decades have rolled back to life. From Sunrise Flour Mills to United Palm Products Limited, Niger Gas Company, Hotel Presidential, and the International Conference Center. And just recently, we have started work at the aluminium plant in Ohebedim in Igbo-Etiti local government. By 1st October 2026, that plant will be commissioned. We're not just commissioning what used to be the aluminium plant. We have upgraded it. We're going to upgrade it. So we know we're not just only able to fabricate aluminium there, but we can also produce the aluminium profiles. So that work is ongoing as we talk and will be ready in 10 months' time. The Enugu Smart City project is bringing smart housing, fiber optic connectivity, and green energy systems to life. Affordable housing schemes, including the new Enugu housing estates, offer dignity and stability to civil servants and middle-income earners. Next year, we will deliver 15,000 mass housing units. Over 1,300 kilometers of roads now link farms, markets, industries, schools, and hospitals, reconnecting people with opportunity. Agriculture is the sector that makes the most percentage contribution to our state economy and employs the highest number of our citizens. But it has neither received the attention nor the investment it deserves. For us, it is not just about voicing agriculture's potential. We also demonstrate our commitment. It's about putting our money where our mouth is. Our investment in agriculture was conceived to scale up production, eliminate crop wastage by creating the facilities for storage and processing. These are not pipe dreams. Our tractor assembly plant is already up and running. With 300-hectare land bank for commercial agriculture and 200-hectare farm estate under development in all 260 wards, we are building a modern agricultural backbone capable of supplying both local markets and international demand. All of these efforts, schools, hospitals, roads, security systems, housing, clean energy, agriculture, are not isolated projects. They are threads of a single, deliberate tapestry. Each strengthens the others. Each is part of an ecosystem designed to support our people at every stage of life. Because at the center of this work and at the heart of every decision we make is one priority: the people of Enugu. They are the fabric we are weaving this future for, and the reason this entire system must hold, must endure, and must continue to grow. Enugu's status as an early academic center of repute is a proud legacy that owes much to the Catholic Church. And the Church's remarkable work, it's also known in the provision of quality education. Like the Church, we believe that education is the foundation for the development of a robust human capital. So, education is productivity. A child empowered with knowledge is a nation empowered with capacity. The workplace is fast evolving, and it's important we prepare our children for the knowledge economy that the future workplace is shaping up to become. This, simply put, is the philosophy behind our Smart Green Schools initiative. The pedagogical foundation of our smart schools is a model that places Enugu as a regional hub for innovation. Across our communities, 260 smart green schools now stand. Modern, bright, and purpose-built. And maybe for context, we're talking about close to 7,000 brand new classrooms that are standing. Right now, we front-loaded all the procurement. So we have all the furniture items, we have all the digital tools, we have all the devices we need. So as they get ready, we get them equipped and get our children to start off without. So all the long lead items had already been front-loaded. We've already front-loaded the procurement. This is essentially bringing digital learning into every ward. With 33% of the state budget devoted to education, we have moved beyond promises to real, measurable investment that exceeds global benchmark. And essentially, that is because the UNESCO recommended ratio for investment in education is anywhere between 15 and 20%. In Enugu, in the last 2 budget cycles, we have devoted over 30% of our budget to education. At the heart of every policy conceived and every project implemented is the quest to ensure an equitable spread of development across the state. This reflects in our healthcare sector development model. A productive people must first be a healthy people. An economy burdened with high maternal, infant, and under 5 mortality rates cannot attain its full potential. We launched a historic reform of the health sector, building and upgrading 260 type 2 primary health care centers. Again, for context, this is akin to building 3,300 hospital beds, because each type 2 primary health care center has 13 hospital beds. Now, if you do the calculus, you will get it. What we have also done here is front-load procurement, and as soon as the buildings get ready, they get easily equipped. These centers are also equipped with facilities that will provide solar power and digital records. So we have migrated from the manual way of storing our medical records to what we call EMR, electronic medical record. So the idea is that each patient moves with his medical record wherever you go to. And so when you are accessing a secondary or a tertiary healthcare facility, all they need is your card, your smart card, and it gives all the information of your medical data. We have also approved the recruitment of health workers. We approved the recruitment of 2,200 health workers, and we're doing them in phases. We've done the first phase of 450. We're now on the second phase of another 450. Work is also ongoing at 300-bed international hospital, conceived to offer advanced medical care. We're also upgrading facilities at Park Lane. We have upgraded the State University Medical and Applied Sciences, Iboano, to University Teaching Hospital. So that SUMAS has now been upgraded to Teaching Hospital. And we're also funding the equipping and the upgrade of the facilities there so that our students who are now getting to their clinical stages would also be able to do their clinicals there at the SUMAS and largely provide advanced medical health care to our citizens in the northern flank. We have extended enrollment in the Enugu State Healthcare Scheme. Again, we have a law that provides for universal health coverage. Objective is to make sure that we bring in more people into these baskets so that our people can access health care. We make health care available and affordable as well. The results of our intervention in the healthcare is that over 80% reduction in our maternal and under 5 mortality rates. With its endless rolling hills that seem to hug the clouds, numerous waterfalls, network of caves, and lush vegetation, Enugu's landscape offers a backdrop that is naturally made for tourism. We are harnessing Enugu's natural charm and tourism potential to spur economic growth and diversify our revenue stream. So the goal to become Africa's conferencing capital is not to earn bragging rights. It is shaped by the knowledge that a regular booked international conference center translates to more revenue for the state. We will, in the next few months, unveil Nigeria's first zip line, opening up more growth opportunities in our tourism sector. The church is one of the greatest partners any government can have. From schools to hospitals, from youth formation to moral guidance. The Catholic Church has shaped this state even before Enugu became a state. And today, we need the church more than ever. A productive economy needs honest workers, ethical leaders, upright public servants, and business people who respect human dignity. The church's youth structures can help channel skills, mentorship, and values. Where the vulnerable struggle, the church must speak, and we welcome that voice. Our reforms align with the church's long tradition of excellence in the education and health sectors. The mission of government and the mission of the church share this common ground, the dignity and flourishing of the human person. In building a productive economy, we have also been quite intentional about transparency and meritocracy. From teachers to health workers to our CNG bus drivers, everyone has an equal opportunity. That is what sustains good governance. So, I stand here today to thank you for your prayers, for your patience, and for your faith in this journey. The task is far from complete, but the direction is clear. We must continue together to expand the smart schools, to modernize our hospitals, to create jobs for our youth, and to build cities that reflect the best of who we are. The church has always been a vital partner in this mission, educating the young, sheltering the vulnerable, and reminding us all of our higher calling. On our part, we will continue to foster inclusion, for we are only as strong as the weakest amongst us. Let us keep working together, shoulder to shoulder, as stewards of our tomorrow. And as Scripture says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. That is our calling. And with God's grace, that is the legacy we will leave behind. Thank you once again for this honor. God bless you all. Tomorrow is here. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause to the governors. And it should be a standing ovation if you let me. Please be seated. Thank you, Your Excellency, for this wonderful expose. Actually, for those who have eyes to see, in Enugu, the stride of development is phenomenal. And to be honest, sometimes it is actually positively mind-boggling. Thank you so much for what you are doing here in Enugu, and thank you also for gracing us with your presence today. Very quickly, the governor does not have much time. We are going to invite, he has allowed that we invite 1 or 2 questions so that he can give us an answer before the chairman of the session, who has just arrived, Mr. Ike Chioke. He just flew in from Lagos. Thank you for being here, sir. he will say a word, and then the bishop will give a vote of thanks. So I call on Bishop Obinna. I hear that he wanted to ask a question to the governor. Most Reverend Anthony Obinna, Emeritus Archbishop of Owerri.
Sorry for the cobweb in my throat. Your Excellency, I was delighted when you mentioned at least twice the need to uphold the dignity of every person. And I think it's on the basis of the dignity of the human beings in Enugu State that you are striding so valiantly along. Let me mention that this emphasis on dignity touches the issue that I'll be raising or discussing. On the 22nd of March, 2017, the Vanguard newspaper published, and I quote, "The obnoxious traditional practice of identifying some indigenous people of an area as slaves, Ohu, is still rampant. The Ohu are not regarded as freeborn, as they are usually treated as worthless human beings by their masters, or the freeborn, otherwise called Amade." I've been involved with this matter since I was 15 years of age, 1961. That was when the Osu-Diala divide confronted me in the minor seminary, when a fellow seminarian cautioned me against being friends with somebody whom I never viewed as Osu or Ohu, because I never heard the word until God providentially made me see the word Osu when I was 13 years of age. I hadn't even entered the seminary, and I was wondering what it was about, until 2 years later, this seminarian cautioned me against associating with a person called Osu, and he didn't let me know whether I was Osu or Diala or I hadn't even heard the word Diala. In any case, from 1976, I have engaged with this matter to the extent of being able to officiate at marriages between so-called Osu and Diala, even with the opposition of parents. And when I read this matter, I said, well, Bishop Onaga and Enugu Diocese invited me to throw some light on this matter. Mine is an appeal to you, Governor, because on the 28th of March, 1956, here in Enugu, the Eastern House of Assembly enacted a bill abolishing the Osu caste system without mentioning the Diala and Amade. My challenge to you is, now that you are occupying more or less the position of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe here in Enugu, on behalf of the rest of us in Igbo land, I challenge you to use your leadership to look into this troubling issue which has divided our people not only in Enugu, but in Imo State and Anambra State. Something has to be done, and I challenge you to liaise with the church leaders. The Catholic Church, through the bishops of Onitsha and Owerri, have issued a document called No More Divide into Diala, Amade, Osu, Ume, and Ohu to guide our people. And we're making some progress, but we need to make more progress. And your sterling position now as governor of Enugu State will help us. If you liaise with the church, the traditional leaders, and Igbo civic leaders to look into this troubling matter, because our people have kept mute. This topic is a tabooed one for many years, but I think I have helped to make it a public issue. Thank you, Governor. You won't respond now. Will you help us? Will you help your people? That is the question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Your Grace. Before the governor speaks, can we just take one more question and then he can round up everything? One more question. I look at Monsignor Nigelo is here. We give credence to church hierarchy. Monsignor, please, give him a microphone.
Your Excellency, your translative agenda in this state are admirable. And as you began to talk, you spoke on the issue of liberating ourselves, our people, from the yoke of Monday stay at home. And you credited that as an advance in security issue in the state. I want to thank you for the rapid progress in security in the city. But my governor, the priests here will tell you that the priests in the hinterland, the people in the hinterland are suffering drastically on this issue of security. Sometimes it comes to the limelight and people, also counteract and say it's not happening in our state. It's lamentable that in some farms people plant and some other people come and uproot their cassava and feed the cows with it. It happens. In some areas, there are some areas in our diocese you drive into with trepidation because constantly there are harassments and kidnappings on their roads. You told us you are using technology to improve on security in the state. Can this technology be extended to the hinterland so that our people can be proud of your achievements? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency. Your Excellency can make his remarks now. Just one moment. Yes, Your Excellency, are you all right? You can make your remarks.
Thank you so much. And I would start by responding to the remark of His Grace, the Archbishop. I agree with you that this division that our people try so hard to implement and even in some cases enforce in certain communities, and is actually, I can tell you because it's actually more pronounced even from where I come. Those of the people from Kano land here would agree with that view, that it's a lot more pronounced, the issue of Ohu and Amadi. And as you said, there are certain things that even when you have created laws to either abolish or make it unlawful, you would still need some active engagement with different stakeholders, public enlightenment. And I think that is the issue we're dealing with. I think it's commonly said that certain customs and tradition, particularly those ones that are obnoxious, if you try to use the instrument of law and rely solely on putting in place a legal framework to abolish or to label them as unlawful, it may be sometimes a case where the law is ahead of the people, where the law is ahead of the tradition and the custom. So in that case, the church actually would have a very, constructive role to play in this, so that it can be highlighted that is totally unacceptable. I mean, I'm coming from a background where I had lived and studied outside this climb, and we felt in some cases that the system and society where we lived and studied were discriminatory against us, and we felt terrible about that. Okay? So coming back home to see us discriminating against our brothers here because of something no one has control of, I find it abominable. So it's not acceptable, not by my principle, not by my standards, not by anything that is sound. And as you said, there is an existing law that bans and abolishes such practice. But we now need to create that awareness to ensure the church, the government will have to find ways to make sure that our people know that this offends God. This practice offends God, it offends everything that is sound and reasonable in human beings. So we hope that we're going to also enlist the support of the church to finally put a final nail on that coffin. And coming to the issue of security, you're absolutely correct in terms of the fact that we tend to notice a lot of the security breaches we have now in our rural and sometimes in our forests. And that is something we acknowledge as government. The ability to identify these criminals and capture them is not only restricted to our cities. When we put up or deployed our technology, we also captured about 5 local governments that we felt were critical for us to also view. And that was captured in the first phase of our security surveillance system deployment. Now we're, of course, upscaling. We're going into the second phase, where we have also identified additional local governments to capture, and particularly our hinterland, our rural areas. What we had to contend with when we came into office was actually a situation where we had camps of these criminals in our different rural areas, over 22 camps that we inherited. Of course, today, we no longer have any of those camps in the States. We do have these criminals coming in from our neighboring states, coming in to strike, and then before you say a word, they've taken off. We don't have them hibernating in our states. So we're also working with the security agencies in these neighboring states, where these criminals hibernate largely, to ensure that we form a common command and control center where we can share intel and also engage in collective operations. But we're also thinking how to ensure that those are border areas are manned and policed almost always. That is something we're moving to. But yes, and which was why I said we have reduced our violent crime rates to 80%, right? And that is fact. This is speaking from data, not just making up numbers. But we are not relaxing. We don't think our job is complete. We are doubling down. We're strengthening our capacity to nip this crime in the bud. We're also strengthening the capacity of our law enforcement agencies. We are going to address it, particularly with the issue of the farmer-heather clashes. We have just, as I mentioned during my speech, we now are building what is known as farm estates, where we hope to take our smallholder farmers. By the way, the farm estates, unlike the commercial land, the land we have for commercial farming, the farm estate is designed to cater for our smallholder farmers, to upgrade their scheme, move them from the subsistence agriculture farming practice to a mechanized system of farming, and also ensure that their farmland is protected because the farm estates are all access controlled. We also have storage to offtake, those. So we want to achieve two things: ensure the safety of their farm. Secondly, ensure that of post-harvest losses. So we're providing offtake guarantee. We will deal with this issue of security from dealing with it. We appreciate the tensions we have in some of our rural areas, and we're not losing focus at all. We're going to bring them to an end. We will bring all that to an end. Thank you.
I'm going to invite the chairman of this session, who flew from Lagos for this function, to just give us a word or two, and then we can ask His Excellency Bishop, our own bishop, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Your Excellency, His Grace, I'm really honored to be here. My name is Ike Chioke, and I listened to the governor's speech, and I have to say it's a very difficult task to come behind the governor